Oh yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. Today's show is sponsored by Ringmaster, on a mission to launch B2B podcasts that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth. Ringmasterlive.com. Bam. All right, there we are. We are live. We're cranking. I'm excited. I can't wait to introduce you to our guest today. Man, so much to say about him. He's a pioneer, an entrepreneur, a digital marketing thought leader in the space. He's been here for decades, and in many of his businesses have been constantly in the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies for the last 4 years, helping out national brands. We're going to hear all about the stories. An outspoken master of search engine optimization, SEO people coming at you. Co-founder of Green Banana SEO, Kevin Roy. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Casey.
Yeah, man. I'm excited here. I can't wait to dive in, dig in. So what I need to do first is I need to go ahead and grab this thing. It's kind of heavy, but I know you work out and you hit the gym. Okay, here we go. All right, so grab this.
Thors
This is
Hammer.
Thors Hammer. Yeah, you got it? Oh, one-handed.
Got it. I got it. Got it.
You get the strength of giants. Okay, take Thors Hammer, smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Set the record straight once and for all.
Sure. I would say that most of the unsolicited SEO emails that you get that are frightening are complete bullshit.
It's it. Complete bullshit. Is SEO itself bullshit?
No.
Okay. So it's just these reports. What's going on here? Are there just amateurs? Are people scamming us? Scamsters.
No. I think so. There's a lot of great software that will produce, like Ahrefs or SEMrush or there's dozens of really great softwares out there that will produce reports that will look at the site health, and when they're completed, they have a lot of red lines and graphs and terrible things on there, and they send them out to people that don't know anything about SEO. And when you open the document, you say, I can't believe this. My site's about to implode. I'm going to lose my SEO ranking forever, or this is why I'm not ranking for it. I need to fire my SEO company, or I need to finally start doing SEO based on this report that looks like a horrible financial report. So,
Gotcha.
It doesn't mean that those things are not accurate, but it's a very small piece of the puzzle, and people aren't looking at the things that matter the most. So I'll give you an example. One really large insurance agency called me with one of these reports, and they said, we're about to fire our SEO agency because we got this. And I said, all right. And I looked at the report, and then I started the search. Every single possible relevant term for insurance. And they were ranking top 5.
Wow.
So I said, well, this report might not be the prettiest report you've ever seen, and it does highlight some points, but you are ranking for everything that matters. So I'm more than happy to work with you, but the SEO team that you're working with is not doing a poor job optimizing your site, right? So people oftentimes will say they need to have their site optimized just for the sake of saying optimization to be optimized without actually identifying what they want to be optimized for or what the purpose is. And that's like saying, hey, Casey, I want to get better today. And you're like, all right, Kev, I'm going to make you faster or taller or smelling better, right? It's really subjective, right? So, that's what I see a lot of these reports. And if you want me to talk to you about my SEO philosophy, I'm more than happy to do that as well.
Yeah, well, I actually want to get to that in a second. But first off, if you can't trust those reports, then what can you trust? The results, like what you were showing them?
Yeah, your results. I mean, so think about what you do and where you do it, and Google it. If you're ranking for these phrases, then you're, someone's doing something right, or the site is in a good position for the phrases that matter. Now, if you're not ranking for anything, then it's worth looking at some critical factors that I can talk to about later. It's just don't take the report as the end all be all. And every site, when Green Banana rebuilt our website, we're an SEO company. We rebuilt the website and we ran a report and it was terrible. Right? Then we went in and fixed it because developers don't look at that component.
Right.
So it's also something you shouldn't beat your developer up on because the site might be great. It just has some things in there that Google doesn't favor.
Right. Right. You don't need to necessarily snap to and get all of them in order right away if your results are working. You're doing something right. Not to trust that. Hey, have you ever seen that video of the kids playing basketball? They're passing the ball back and forth. Have you seen this? It was like a famous experiment in university.
And the something walked through the middle of it.
Yeah, like a gorilla walks through the middle of it, right?
Gorilla walked through the middle of it, right?
Everyone's counting like, oh, the red team passed the ball 4 times. And they're like, yeah, but did you see the gorilla? You're like, what gorilla? Like literally a gorilla walked in the screen and no one saw it because you're counting how many times the red team passed the ball. It seems like that's at play here with some of these reports where you're like, oh, look at all these fancy reports. But it's like, yeah, but you're ranking. So
that's also at play with almost everything in business that's complex.
Yeah.
So, when it's really easy for an SEO to come out and say, hey, what kind of latent semantic index are you using? What kind of funneling are you using? How do you have schema? What's your page protocol? Do you have the right SSL, certificates in there? How's your mobile speed? And then people are like, I don't know what half of that stuff even means.
Right.
So I'm going to hire this guy because he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
He threw out some terms at me.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think SEO's latent semantic indexing, which is relevant words, is a genius marketing word because anything with multi-syllables automatically makes you sound smart.
Well, did you say latent? What did you say?
Latent semantic indexing is one of the ways that Google decides relevance of a keyword phrase. So it's basically what other keywords Google thinks is important that support that keyword phrase. Like if you want to rank for peanut butter and jelly sandwich, then you'll have to say butter, peanut butter, grape jelly, pectin, wheat bread. And in order for Google to say, you know what, this page is really relevant for peanut butter and jelly sandwich because it does all these other things.
Because it has those other latent semantic indexes.
Supporting just means supporting phrases.
Supporting phrases. But yeah, you're right. Supporting phrases sounds too easy. But I would pay you thousands of dollars to help me with my latent semantic indexing.
Right. You gotta have it. You gotta have it, man.
Learn something new today, man. So I think this is a good time. What is SEO in 2021 here? What is it now? And where is it going?
So what SEO is what it always is, what it's always been. And it really comes down to one thing, but I'm going to give you two because it's easier to frame it. So the most important thing to SEO is to keep people using Google, right? So Google's job or the search engine's job is to keep people using the search engine. The other part of it is, does it satisfy the user? Is it making the user happy, right? So, but the reason I said it really is one thing is because by satisfying the user, you're actually making more people use Google because that's Google's job. And SEO, that really falls into two buckets, a technical bucket and a relevance bucket, right? So the technical bucket is things like, did your site load really slow? You do a Google search, you go to a site, takes 16 seconds for the page to load. People get frustrated, bounce off the search. Does your site not work on mobile? You're sitting on the toilet, you're doing a Google search, you go into a page, doesn't work on mobile, you bounce off, you get frustrated, right? You bounce off of Google. Right. Your site's not secure. You go to a site, you get a virus, it's going to aggravate the user, right? So Google is rewarding you for a better user experience, right? if you go in and fix those things anyways, throw SEO aside, it's still doing the right thing. So your users are going to have a better experience. It's going to help your business anyways if you break down all those issues that your site could be having. So the second bucket is relevance. So Google's job is to return the most relevant keyword phrase, not website, but web page for the keyword phrase that you type in. So if you Google the word basketball, Wikipedia outranks the NBA because the basketball page, is relevant to the keyword phrase basketball. It talks about when basketball was founded, who some of the top basketball players are. It talks about the point system. It goes into really thorough detail about it. And then it has all these references that you can go and do research after about it. But it also has all these links that are directly or indirectly supporting basketball. So we'll have a link to LeBron James, and then all of a sudden you click on the LeBron James page, and then it goes down to where LeBron James was born. And then there's a link to the town that LeBron James was born in. And then it says, here's the woman that founded the town that LeBron James was born in, right? So it's all these things that are building and stacking up, right? These latent semantic or relevant supporting phrases that go up and support why basketball is important. So those two things are how Google determines good user experience, relevance, and that's how you get things to rank. Another example of relevance is there's this like wacky author, AJ Jacobs, that writes. I don't know if you've heard about him, but he
what's his name?
Read the encyclopedia. AJ Jacobs. He read the Encyclopedia Britannica and wrote about it. Then he decided to he read the Bible and then decided to act it out to the point where he was throwing little pebbles at people that he thought were adulterers. Right? So, and he wrote a story about it. And then he went and wrote a book to thank everybody for contributing to his cup of coffee. And I would argue that if he built a website the way that his book is written, he would probably rank or have a really good chance for ranking for coffee. And we can all argue that that's a super, super, super competitive keyword phrase. Because in order for him to thank everybody that contributed to his cup of coffee, he not only had to write about coffee, but he had to thank the people that repaired the machines that picked the beans in I think it was Guatemala or Nicaragua. He had to thank the guy that designed the lid that got the right amount of liquid and smell into his mouth when he drank it. He had to thank the people that painted the lines on the road that allowed the delivery truck to get to the coffee shop so he could get his coffee. Right. So if you think about if every single thing had a web page dedicated to that one thing, and you had all this supporting thread that all went back up to coffee, he would probably rank for that keyword phrase.
Right. Wow. First of all, he's crazy, and that sounds really interesting. And second of all, interesting how that could technically rank for coffee if his entire book was indexed. If his entire book was web pages or something.
Right. And every single page was built to rank for that specific keyword phrase, like line scraper. Right. And that's the principle. I think if you understand the principles behind SEO, and then the methods will start to make sense. But a lot of people try to learn the methods without understanding the principle. So understanding the principle allows you to call bullshit on a lot of the methods. Right. So things are consistently changing. So one of the things that SEOs take advantage of is, Google makes 600 to 800 algorithm changes a year. And so people are thinking, I definitely have to hire an SEO because how do I keep up with 600 to 800 algorithm changes a year? But if you think about it, are sites that are ranking really well for everything making 600 to 800 changes a year? So they're making 2 to 3 changes to their website globally a day. It doesn't make sense. And if you continue to do that, you're going to dilute relevance anyways. You can't have that many iterations of how many different ways can you say best pizza in Miami?
Right.
You can't. Right?
Right.
Just making it not work. Right. So what, what, what I believe, and, one of the things that we've discovered is that, um, Google follows the Pareto principle like everybody else, like the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the updates that Google makes are usually trying to catch the bad guys for doing stupid shit they're not supposed to do, like building link farms or fake websites to, drive links back to your site, or, auto-generated fake content and likes and crap, so
Right.
all that stuff, so you just don't even worry about it. You don't focus on the stuff you're not supposed to do, because you're going to get caught if you do it anyways. Like, eventually, if you're doing things you're not supposed to do, Google's bigger than all of us. They're going to figure it out. Just ignore it. Don't bother trying to do it. But the
What
other
should people
20%
not
is,
do? What are the things what are like the terrible?
I wouldn't even go down if it doesn't make sense, don't do it. So linking is an important thing to do SEO, because it says to Google that other people think your site's important. So other people think your site's more relevant.
Right.
And there are people that go out and buy links. So you can go to Fiverr for $100 and buy 1,000 links.
Okay.
But that's not real relevance. You're buying links. So it's not checking that box off. So you might get caught, you might not get caught, but it's not relevant. It's crap.
Got
So
it.
you're either going to waste $100, or somewhere down the road, you're going to get in trouble.
Got it. So there's a lot of people selling that stuff too at the same time. The same people that have those bullshit reports.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the real hardcore SEO bad guys aren't selling things to clients. They're all doing affiliates and making money off boosting sites to get fake clicks from Google and throw money into a bank account, and then it gets shut down, and they, I don't even, there's a whole organization and criminal enterprise behind that. So I think all the really good, bad SEO people are doing that.
Gotcha.
Right. I think a lot of people will hire an SEO person, and they just might not do the right thing, or they just might not do anything. I think that's the biggest thing that consumers get stuck with. Now, and I'm not saying that there's a lot of really good SEO companies out there.
There are, but there's a lot of crazy ones out there too.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't do the work, but I don't run across. We've been doing this for a long time, and we don't. I've run across one time someone that got blacklisted by doing something they weren't supposed to do, and someone else did it, and that's once. And I've been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah. Okay. Where does it go though? I mean, they keep evolving. You mentioned like hundreds of thousands of changes. What do you see? Where's the future of this take it? I mean, does it just persist, or does it get wackier and wackier? What are you excited about?
I don't know. What am I? I'm excited about a lot of stuff when it comes to digital. I think it's really interesting to see where search is going to go. Part of me, like, voice search is getting better and better. I think a lot of it's going there. IoT, search through Internet of Things. I think that's gonna continue to get better as it, people figure it out. The things that Google is spitting out in search as results on a consistent basis is getting better and better and more sophisticated. Like, you Google New York to LA, and you're not going into a site anymore. Google's got it right in the SERP, the search engine results page. So there's a lot of really cool things.
Oh, they have you're right. They have the flights all right there.
Yeah. That's schema, right?
Oh, geez, $123 on Spirit, man. I don't know if you want to fly Spirit, but $123.
I don't know. Yeah.
6 hours later.
Hey, you got to bring your boxing gloves for that, right?
Yeah. You got to sneak that box on the plane.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I often think about is, is search going to diminish in death by 1,000 cuts? Right. So, like think about real estate searches. The apps are so good that you're not going to Google to do a real estate search. You're going to
That's
Redfin
true.
or Zillow or Trulia or
That's
right.
true.
So, um, you know, um, you're not going to Google for dating or unmarried. So at least I don't think you do. Right. So you go to an app, there's apps that do it, or, you know, um,
Right.
you're not doing, use boats online. You're going to Boat Trader. So there are things there.
Well, that is interesting, right?
I
Because
think
Amazon keeps adding
that's
things,
one.
but with Google,
Right.
we keep subtracting things by taking that search offline or off of
Yeah.
Google at least, and then putting it on our own app.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. I
Airbnb,
mean,
all those
I can
things,
tell you,
search it locally.
yeah, I can tell you as an agency. So we're a Google Premier partner, and Google AdWords is still one of the most effective tools in bringing in conversions. If people know what they're looking for, it's a killer tool, and it just keeps going up like that.
Yeah.
So we're not seeing it on our side diminish.
Yeah. So you're not seeing it. Well, it would take a while anyways, but also how do you
Doesn't mean
find the
it's
app
not
in the first
happening.
place?
Yeah.
Yeah. The App Store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to find the app in the first place, or, app searches or things like that. But,
Maybe just want to put like Google and Amazon in a boxing ring and just have them just spar it out. What do you think?
Facebook too. Yeah.
Facebook,
Meta or whatever they call it.
meta bullshit.
Mhm.
What's your take on that? What's your take on is it just a branding exercise? Are they doing anything differently? Are they trying to do like the alphabet?
Oh yeah. They're doing what Alphabet did because of all the bad publicity, but I think that Facebook just got caught for what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Now, all the big data and Amazon's gathering stuff on their data. Every giant social media platform is pushing, pushing advertising based on spend and gathering every single piece of data from every input that people are putting in. They just got caught,
Yeah.
or they just got so big that it made a difference, or Zuckerberg pissed somebody off somewhere.
Right. Do you not bend the knee?
Yeah.
Hey, earlier I was kind of asking you two questions at once, but the idea of, where does SEO go? But all in the digital space, what are you excited about? What's around the corner there? What kind of changes are happening?
I think influencer marketing is super cool. It's not as easy to track. It's getting better. Like things like TikTok, Snap, digital radio, like I had mentioned earlier, all the cool things that like all the cool schema that SEO or Google's coming out with to give people a better user experience.
Yeah.
The awesome part of this is that people are consuming so much digital advertising, and that in agencies that continue to stay on top of the latest trends are going to be able to help their customers out the best. I think the bad side of it is that people are spending so much time behind their screen. So,
It's
it's
true.
kind of like I think, I shouldn't even be saying that because that's where my living comes from. I think
Right.
about it a lot.
Right. Yeah. No, it's that balance of screen time versus not,
Yeah.
and how that progresses. But hey, I'm curious, man. Who are you? How did you get all this information? Now, can you take me back in time to like little Kevin days? Did you always know you're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, growing
Oh,
companies, selling
yeah.
them, doing all these crazy things? And where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Beverly, Massachusetts, which is kind of near Boston on the water. I had an awesome childhood. I was a lifeguard for forever. um, I ended up, going to graduate school partly because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and partly because I still wanted a lifeguard in the summers. Uh, and
Ah,
so,
nice.
and then I learned about, that I did a master's in, at Bentley in international business and entrepreneurship. Um, and I got really lucky and, ended up getting a job at a startup called eRoom Technology. And eRoom ended up getting bought by EMC, and they're like a workspace collaboration place, like a base camp or,
Oh, gotcha.
any, you know, I wouldn't even say like Monday is like a really advanced form of that. And I was cubby mates with the web guy. He and I really hit it off. I was running trade shows, just schlepping back and forth, having a blast running. I was like the key grip for all for the trade shows, getting them all set
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
getting everybody out there and booking flights. And I was buddies with the web guy, and he pulled me aside one day and said, um, "There's a class at MIT on HTML. Do you want to take it and work with me on the web team?" I was like, "F yeah."
Yeah.
Definitely want to do that. So I did that, and he really helped me out. And then one thing led to another. He left. I got pulled on into his role and was managing, um, a couple, webmasters under me. And very quickly thereafter, the company got bought. The VP, my boss, left. Um, I was spending 3 hours at the gym because I had nothing else to do, and just coming into work for a couple hours and checking my email. So I wasn't doing anything. So I knew that my time was really limited because EMC didn't need any more webmasters. I ended up taking a severance package. I went and bought a computer and went to three businesses that I knew. And this was back in '98. So before a lot of people had good websites. And I said, "I'm going to build you a website. I'm going to build it for free, but you're not going to tell anybody I built it for free. And if you really like it, tell everybody you know." and so
Yeah,
that,
I like
and
that.
then, and that's really, yeah. And that's kind of just what started it. I just started doing that. I started to go to networking meetings and chambers of commerce and like BNI and just meeting as many people as I could and talking to as many people as I could. And it slowly built into this.
Jeez.
I met a business partner. My business partner, now, like, he was one of I was sending him all this development work. I met him through another connection, and and he and I hit it off, and he could do stuff I couldn't do, and so we just decided to do it together.
Wow. Dude, what a story. Where'd the bananas come from?
Uh, so so I was doing a presentation in Houston on SEO, but it was an engineer. It was like a whole it was like a technical engineering meeting, and SEO was like one small part of it, and it was boring as shit. So I had to get up and talk about SEO, and I had a presentation. I'm like, what, I'm not going to do the presentation. And they had a whiteboard. I'm like, I'm going to show everybody here. Like I said, pretend that Oprah did a piece on bananas, and if you eat bananas, you can live forever. We're going to go open up a fruit store. I'm going to show you how to get banana on page one. And I couldn't find the yellow pen. I found a green pen. I was like, all right, forget it. I'm going to show you how to get green banana on page one. So I drew this like infographic on the whiteboard, came back and showed my business partner, and he's like, well, we don't have to think of a name anymore. And so that's just how the name came out. And I was super embarrassed about it for a while because it sounds stupid. And I remember I had a meeting in Boston with this, this doctor in Boston, to pitch SEO. And he looked at me and said, I got meetings all day long and no one forgot the banana guy was coming. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
But how
So
cool that like
figured
there's no
it
yellow
out.
marker. So of
Yeah.
course you're gonna make a
Yeah.
green one and then there's the name. Do you still did you get a
Yeah.
photo of that infographic? Did you take a photo?
No, I ended up just drawing it back at home.
That's cool.
Um, but no, I should have done that, but I didn't understand it was anything. I just thought banana was fun to say, and it was easy to explain.
Yeah. Huh. Well, question then, looking back, right? Hypothetical question for you. I may have a time machine up in New Hampshire here. May or may not. Can't confirm or deny. Um, you come hang out, we get some beers, and you use the time machine. You go back in time. You get to meet yourself like a couple days after school, after college, right? Or undergrad. We'll say undergrad. A couple days after that, you get to meet yourself then, and it's okay to talk to yourself. You won't mess up space time continuum. And what kind of things would you tell yourself, knowing what you know, what you're going to go through? What kind of advice would you give yourself?
So, I think I would say one thing, and I think it applies as a human and an entrepreneur. And I actually have to repeat this to myself almost on a daily basis. So easier said than practice, but I would say nothing is going to work out the way you think it's going to work out, but it's going to work out. Um, so I cannot tell you as an entrepreneur how many nights that I have not slept worrying about some shit that's going to happen that never happens. Never happens. Like, and I worried about a million different things for a million different reasons. And it never ends up worst case scenario, but it also, the good parts that happen never happen the way you think. So I was listening, I read something a while back and it referenced this like old parable. And I don't know if you've heard it, but there's a farmer who has a son that like is his like, you know, main like helper on the farm.
Okay.
And his son goes out of town and finds this like beautiful killer horse, like not killer, but like amazing horse. And, and it just like wandered in from the ether. And so the kid brings this horse home and all the townspeople come and say, "Oh, it's so amazing. I can't believe that your son found this. You're so lucky." And the farmer says, "Maybe." Right. And then his son ends up getting on the horse and, going for a ride, it falls off and breaks his leg. Right. And the people go to the farmer and say, "I can't believe this tragedy. What a horrible thing that happened." And, and the farmer says, "Maybe." Right. So shortly after that, there's a war and everyone gets drafted or taken to war, but the son can't go because he breaks his leg. Everybody in his troop dies. Right. So, a lot of things happen here that don't go, actually almost nothing goes the way I want it to go, but it always ends up going the right way somehow. So just to say, you know what, there's a reason that this happened and I don't know why, but I'm going to deal with it and just, keep moving. And shit just ends up working out.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like that story, right? It's just like, well, and then at least the dad's smart enough to say, maybe, you know, well,
Yeah.
maybe I
Right.
am. We'll see how this turns out.
Yeah. Right.
But the fact that it does turn out, there's something to that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of great things that have happened here, but almost none of it has happened the way that I thought it was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you can see the journey. So tell me, man, speaking of, crazy journeys, tell me about this, the martial arts you've been getting into.
Well, so yeah. So I started a couple of years ago doing Krav Maga, and then I just recently added jujitsu onto that. But I would not call myself a martial artist. I would say I'm taking classes. Right? It's amazing. I go to this place called Forge Self Defense in Salem, and um, I'm doing it. I do it because it's uncomfortable. So I'm not very coordinated. Um, and it's kind of funny. I go to the gym a lot, and as you get older and you're starting to play like, pick up sports with friends or new people,
Yeah.
I will often get picked first because of the way that I look, and I'm always like, "That's a really bad idea, dude. You should both be last because
Yeah. You haven't
can't
met me
catch
yet. This
anything,
is
right?"
this is
They're always
yeah.
I was like, "I don't want to disappoint you this much. This is gonna be bad." So, um, I did it because I wanted to do something that I'm uncomfortable with. I also
Right.
wanted to learn something new because I absolutely like I will learn if I could if I had, if I could get paid to just learn, I would probably just do that because I absolutely love learning almost anything.
Yeah.
So, um, so that's the reason that I'm doing it. But the other reason that I'm doing it is because you have to focus so intently while you're doing it that it's almost cathartic, right? So you can't think about anything else while you're doing it. And not so much because you're going to get hurt, but because it's almost disrespectful to the people that you're like practicing with or going up against.
Yeah.
So that I absolutely love doing it. It's a complete blast.
Yeah, there's something about that, especially when, it's like all about focus, and focus
Yeah.
is like it's rare. It's not a commodity, it's like a thing, and you have to be focused. To your point, the respect side, but also, man, I mean, you get injured too if you're not paying attention,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
just need to lose yourself in that moment.
Yeah. And for someone that's like an ADD guy like me, that focus is a muscle that I have to continue to train,
Yeah.
and also, as I mentioned, like doing something that's so you know, if anybody was like, should I do this? I'm like, I think you should do. I think it's beneficial to do anything that you're uncomfortable with, like going up and speaking publicly. Like I joined BNI, and you had to get up every single week and speak in front of a group of people, and I hated it, and now I don't
Really?
hate it anymore. Right? So it's and I think that really helped.
Yeah. I can see that. I think for me, I find podcasting to be that thing that brings me into focus, because we're sort of locked in here. There's the two of us. We're kind of on stage. So we're sort of paying attention. We're not, you're not doing the phones. Maybe if we're just hanging out, getting beers, maybe I'm checking my phone every now and then. We're just kind of locked into it, and you're learning. So it kind of like checks both those
Right.
boxes. You get that focus time, and you also get that learning.
Yeah, you must learn so much from other people doing these
Oh,
podcasts. That's got to be an
yeah.
amazing thing.
Yeah. In fact, just the other day, I did a podcast with someone who's an expert on like mindfulness and intention. And she literally, well, she was doing the strategy thing. So I'm like, let's get tactical. She's like, well, I'm like, how do you get mindful? And she's like, you need to be. And I'm like, all right, let's be. And so she literally did this guided meditation with us right on the podcast. She's like, let's close our eyes. I'm like, all right, let's do this. So we had this little like 5 minute
Cool.
thing where we just were focusing on our breathing, and hey, cool. And you got to imagine people listening going like, all right, no one else is around me. I'll give it a shot. And then you wake up just feeling like full of energy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that you can learn something from everyone. And so that's why I love, these kind of conversations, but not just the part about, the tech side or the business side, but also the personal side, and that advice and that you're giving yourself, as well as just hearing how Krav and other things bring you into that zone, and then it makes you reflect on your own behaviors and what is it that does that for me? What is it that does that checks that box?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think a little parallel to your podcasting is in this business, we get to meet clients like that do. We have clients that do almost everything, and so there are so many. I learned so many little things about like how an automotive business works, or a law practice, or a biotech company, and there's all these little similarities. Or wow, I didn't know that. I could probably apply that to my digital marketing business, even though it's something that biotech does. It's super cool. Like I love that part.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It doesn't even matter what industry. You could absolutely,
Hmm.
it's almost like when you learn something from your own industry, you can apply that to get after that 1 or 2 or 5% change. But when you pull some wacky thing in that realtors are doing, and you're like, you know what? I think that might, or some data scientist in the retail, clothing space. It says something, shares about how he takes customer needs and lines with data, and that's the creative process. You're like, oh, I could do that in my
Right.
industry.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right. You can just, if you keep your mind open and just listen to what other people do, you're like, oh, well, that's a super good idea. I bet I
yeah,
could do that here.
yeah, totally, man. Well, hey, where can people connect with you if they want to reach out, connect, or even want to learn a little more about SEO? Maybe they desperately need it as well. Where are the different places they can reach out?
So if you go to ijustmetkevin.com,
Nice.
um, I always lose my business card. I stopped doing business cards, a long time ago. So ijustmetkevin.com will take you to my page on my website, or you can just go to greenbananaseo.com, um, and just go into the contact information.
Justmetkevin.com. Pulling that. Oh, look at that. Right to greenbananaseo.com/Kevin. Very cool. It has your information, LinkedIn, all that stuff's right there. So there it is, everyone. So I just met Kevin.com. That's the one link that rules them all. You go there and you have all that contact.
There you
Boom.
go.
Boom. Well, dude, this was awesome. This was really
Yeah,
cool.
I love this. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on here. I feel like I got schooled. I got all the different areas. I'm like learning stuff from you, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, me too. This was great. I really appreciate it, and it was a lot of fun.
Definitely. Definitely. And for those people listening, if you learned something, and I freaking know you did because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, front and back, then share this with someone else. And that's how you're a thought leader. You just share some data, share some learning with someone else, one person, 2 people, 400 people. That's thought leadership. So share this episode and wow, good stuff, man. Kevin, thanks again, man.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks again, everyone. This has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will catch you all next time.